Hey y'all, welcome to the stream. Hey, what's up, Ben? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, going for that Twitch affiliate status today. I think this marks my 7th or 8th unique day streaming in the 30-day period, so I think we're gonna get there. Hope you all are staying safe. We're gonna continue working today on this project we were working on yesterday, which is we're calling react-livestream right now. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna boot up two tasks here. One is gonna be a yarn run build, and this is in the actual plugin repository. So this is gonna fire up a roll up, and it has some watchers. So as we change files, things will build. So cool. And then here I have as it's named, as you can see, hold on one second. Just calling a test React app. And this is a create React app that I have here locally on my system. And it is using the linked version of the package that we're working on. Cool. So if you were in the stream yesterday, you might be familiar with this. We have our two repos. This on the left-hand side is the React app. So I'm actually gonna change that color. Let's see, to React Blue. And then this one over on the right side is our actual plugin with all the logic that we're adding. And so right now, we are currently supporting Twitch and Mixer. Those are working. And what we're doing is we're trying to add support here for YouTube. And as you can see right now, we actually have a working embed that's responsive. However, this is not dynamic. This is not happening dynamically. We actually have hard-coded this value below, right here. And as you can see, we're embedding with a hard-coded video ID, and that's something we're going to be changing. Video ID, channel ID, I got to double check which one that is. But essentially, what we want to do, give me one second. Hey, what's up, Ryan Warner? No worries. Thanks for joining, my friend. Yeah, so yesterday we ran into a bit of an issue because we were trying to figure out how we could possibly do what we're doing here for Mixer and Twitch, which is essentially making calls to an endpoint and then getting information about whether or not the streamer is currently active. If they are, we're setting it to true in a use state up above, which is right here. And then down below in our component render, essentially, well, it's a function component, so there is no render method, but in our function return, if we're live, we're returning this stuff. So I had flipped this bit because we were doing some testing, but so right now that user's not live, or yeah, they actually are live, but our logic just says that they're not. So okay, cool. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna collapse some of these style objects that we added yesterday. We're probably not going to look at that right now. And then I'm also going to collapse these two fetch methods that we've created for the data from Twitch and Mixer. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue working on this fetch YouTube data. And for anybody in the stream that hasn't been here as we've been building, essentially we have a platform prop that comes in, and then we're determining which of the streaming services this user is using. And then we're fetching data. And actually one thing I want to do here is, like, in certain cases, like if we have the platform prop coming in as Twitch, but we don't have, say, the Twitch client ID or the Twitch username, like there's no point in us making a call because we don't have the valid information that we need. So actually for all of this switch, I'm just going to add a to-do that says add validation, or check props before making API call, because we don't want to make expensive API calls if we can avoid it. And if people are not passing in the proper data, the proper props, I should say, here from the library or the project that's using our library, then we don't want to make these calls. And in fact, we might even move this validation stuff sort of into these methods, and instead of doing a fetch, it's like if you don't have all three of these props present, we're just gonna actually log out saying, hey, you can't make a call without those required props. And so yesterday at the end of the stream, we were running into an issue with our YouTube API where we weren't getting data back, and we are now. And I was testing this out last night. I think what happened is just the API key took a little while to register on their end, but this is working as intended. And essentially what we're doing is we're hitting the YouTube endpoint, or the YouTube API, and we're using this search endpoint, which allows us to search based on a channel ID. And so we're looking for part equals snippet. We're essentially looking for information from the channel with this ID that has an event with the type of live, as in a live stream, and that the type of content is a video. Hey, what's up, all y'all? Hey, Flying Dev. Hey, James, what's up? Thanks for hopping in the chat. So yeah, so what we want to do here is like, and the reason we need to do it this way is because the YouTube APIs are not returning to you information about the user status, as in like, hey, I'm gonna make a call to check the Ryan Harris user, see if he's streaming. It's agnostic of that information. So what we need to do is we're actually getting back multiple results here, because we have this user, Chilled Cow, is actually streaming multiple live events at once. So for the purposes of our package, we're probably gonna have people that are only doing one stream at a time. So this is something we're gonna need to document in the instructions in the README. But my assumption here is that if we get back an item array, it most likely will only have one. Hey Aaron, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. Yeah, so like I was saying, this items array, for most people, I think will just have one item in it. I don't think many people do like multi-live streams at once, especially if they're coding. Whereas Chilled Cow is just playing live music, so that's why there's two. But let's go on YouTube real quick. And let's find a different user that might have a live stream that's active but not multiples. And then we could potentially use that as our test case. Okay. Is there a live filter here somewhere? Live streams. Oh, that's my live streams. Yeah, all my live streams that I've done thus far are on my YouTube page. So if you're looking for them, feel free to check it out. But what I'm looking for, YouTube, is actually I'm looking for live streams that are being done by other people. All right. All right, here's a cool one. A live stream from the International Space Station. That's pretty cool. So this is space videos. And the reason we're going to their profile page is that we actually want to take this URL, because this is the value for their unique ID. So let's see. So here, this is the packet, or the project that's using our package, and it's passing in a YouTube channel ID. And so we just took a channel ID right here, and essentially it's this piece. This is the unique identifier that YouTube uses to determine different channels. So let's see, if we pass this in, maybe now we'll only be getting one result back. Oh wow, this user is actually doing 3 live streams at once. So we have Earth views, NASA ISS live, and a video replay. Interesting. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is here for now, we're just gonna default to the first item in the array. And so we have an object here that has an items key. So the first thing we want to do is we need to check that there is an items field in our object. And we also want to make sure that it has a length, as in that it has more than one item in it, because otherwise there's no point in doing the rest of this logic. And so if we have a response item and the item, there's more than one item, that means that they have at least one live stream going, and we want to set the state of our component to say, hey, I know that you're live streaming now, because below what we're doing is we're using that to determine whether or not we're going to show this iframe. Cool. So here you can see this is our response object that I'm logging out, and what we have is this items array. It has 3 items, so as long as the response has a field called items and the array in that field has a length, then we can safely assume that this person is streaming. Cool. And then what we need to do is we're actually going to need this value, which I believe is the video ID. So again, if we go back to our package, or our app over here that's using our package, this is the YouTube channel ID. So it's like this long, unique identifier, whereas the one we have hard-coded in our iframe embed is shorter. So I believe that's a video ID. And each of the items in this array should have information for us, yeah. So snippet. This is, if you remember here in our call, our YouTube call, we have a query param that says part equals snippet, and so what we're saying in the request in this query string is that we want that information returned to us. So channel ID. Okay, this is exactly what we need. So inside of the first item, there is an ID field with a video ID. So that's the ID that we're looking for to add to our iframe string. Sorry for all the screen manipulation. It's how I work, but it's probably not that easy to follow along. So I'm going to try to use these keys instead now so you can more easily understand what app I'm flipping between. Okay, so we have the response. So we want to say it's live, but we also want to instantiate a value, and this is stream info. And so this is going to be the response.data or items, and we're going to take the first item, and then we're just going to log this out. We're actually going to stop logging out the full response. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to see if I can turn off these. I don't have it in here anymore. Okay. All right, let's go back to Firefox. So as you can see, we now have one item being logged out, and so this is our first one in the list of live streams that this user has. So we want to take the id.video ID. YouTube video ID equals, and it's going to be the stream info dot ID dot video ID. Cool. So we are going to need to actually use this value below here in our render. And I keep saying render because I'm speaking in terms of React components, and class components have a render method that returns things. However, here we're using the function component syntax. So when I say render, what I really mean is the return of this function. And that's what we have down here. So, okay, so this, like I said, this is the video ID. So we're going to need to actually get rid of this and interpolate the value. So we're going to need to add a dynamic value here. And to do that, we need to use these special backticks. And we also need to wrap this all in a curly bracket, because for JSX syntax, excuse me, These curly brackets indicate that what's happening inside is JavaScript code. And the idea of being able to use backticks and then insert variables into strings, that is JavaScript, not HTML. So that's why we need to format it that way. And if you just excuse me, I'm just sipping on a tasty beer here today, as I usually do on the stream. This is Mainstay Brew. I don't know if you all can see that. It's local here to Philly. I'm drinking the double dry hopped India Pale Ale known as the Double Bowline. So if you're a beer fan, I highly recommend. Highly recommend. All right. So we haven't needed it to do this for any of the other apps that we're using, because we're able to, for all these, for Twitch and Mixer, like these values we pass in, the channel ID or the username, all of that is what we actually use in our iframe below. So for Twitch, we're taking the username, putting it in the iframe source. For Mixer, we're putting it into, where'd it go? Yeah, for Mixer, we're putting in the channel ID. But this is the one case where we actually need to put in a video ID, but the request we're making is based on the channel ID. So we're going to need to actually instantiate another slice of state here. So we're going to say const YouTube vid video ID, which we already have below, but that's inside of a closure. So we should be able to use the same name here. Set YouTube video ID. Cool. And if you're familiar with useState, essentially we're going to give it a null value to start because it doesn't have an ID. And what we need to do is here, when we get back this video ID of the first item in the array, hold on one second. I'm going to turn off this. I'm going to turn off this tooltip because every time I hover over something, it's blocking the code, and I want y'all to be able to see what I'm looking at. Let's try this. Just going to do this over here real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, cool. That should do it. Sorry about that. So now we can actually see what the heck we're looking at. What the heck? Oh yeah, James, I haven't been drinking that much beer actually recently. I've been more drinking cocktails as I get a bit older, but this stream usually happens on Friday evening, so I like to think of it as sort of like my little fun coding happy hour, and that all my friends in the chat are there having a drink with me. But if any of these local Philly breweries or distilleries want to reach out and want to sponsor your boy, just let me know. I'm happy to exclusively drink your drink is what I'm saying. All right, so now we have this YouTube video ID, and we're gonna need to set that. And I'm just gonna copy this because why not? I'm a developer, I'm lazy. So we're gonna set YouTube video ID, and we're gonna set it to this variable we have here. And actually we don't even need to instantiate this. We can just actually set it right to this. Save some memory and not create a new variable. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a use effect hook, and this is not actually gonna have any functionality in it. I'm doing this just for demonstration purposes. And we're just gonna log out the YouTube video ID. And the reason I'm doing in the use effect hook is because that means it'll log every time. Okay. That is what it's called. let's make sure we are setting this properly. So I'm actually going to log this out. Just make sure before we set it. Because as long as this is getting set properly, then we should be fine. Yo, what's up, Krista Mars? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Just working on adding some support here for YouTube for this live streaming package I've been building. It's basically allows you to embed your live stream when you're active. It'll automatically detect if you're active and then embed it in a responsive iframe. So we have that currently working for Mixer and for Twitch. However, right now we're adding this YouTube support. And I broke something because something is not happening. So I don't care about this, to be honest. Let's get rid of that. And then, so platform is YouTube. So we're coming in here. So we should be fetching YouTube data. So let's just add a log here to make sure we're doing that. I'm good, man. How about yourself? How's everything going in terms of the search? And hope you're staying safe out there. Are you back in Detroit yet, or are you still in Denver? Fetching YouTube data. Let's do it. I have a feeling my build is not refreshing. Oh, nice. Getting back. That's when your powers, you're going to be like going Super Saiyan when you get back. I feel like that's your lifeblood right there. All right, let's go here. Twas working. Aha, yes. Yeah, that's right. Probably should do something with this. That's dope. Yeah, like I was saying, I have yet to make it out to Detroit. I've been to Michigan. I've been to the Upper Peninsula. It was really cool, but I feel like Detroit is just like a spot I need to check out. Look at this. Krista Mars comes in the stream. We get stuff working. That's what it's all about. All right, cool. Responsive iframe. And we can even go back and do this with Chilled Cow now. So we're using this Space Videos account, but what we did is we're using the first item in the set of items that comes back for users with multiple streams. So Chilled Cow. I know Chilled Cow has 2 or 3 streams running at any given time. So we'll come in here, take their channel ID, which is the prop that we're passing to our component in our little test project over here. Yep. Pass that in. So now, for anybody in the chat, quiz time. Now that we put in a new channel ID for Chilled Cow, who has 2 or 3 streams running, should we be seeing something in our page? You bet. You bet we should. Let's go back to our app. Cool. Chilled Cow. First item. Responsive. Sick. All right, so we can now call that done. So I'm going to get rid of these console.logs that we don't need. Where else am I logging? I'm logging somewhere. I know it. Yeah, dude, yeah, that would be awesome. I would be happy to come out and check it out and hang out. Yeah, now especially, once everything settles down, I'm chilling now because I'm remote at Fauna, so that would actually be amazing. And it'd be cool to like come out and potentially check out some of the local meetups, meet some people in the area that are in the industry, just like make more friends, basically. All right, so let me commit this, as I am wont to do. Yeah, that'd be sick. That would be really cool. Code. Let's go to Twitch plugin. So what we've done so far today. Yeah, you and I. You and I can hop on a chat or a DM or something. But yeah, I would love to. I'm gonna put you in touch. We got it. All right. So what we did we added a new state because we need to we need to store basically this value of this ID. Our request that we wrote yesterday now works. Somehow 12 hours makes a difference. Didn't change a thing. And then here we're just checking we have items and whatnot, and then we're setting live as true, which means, hey, we want to render that iframe. And then we're going to set the YouTube video ID so that below, what we can do is interpolate that value into the iframe source. Not too crazy, not too crazy. So let me commit it. Parse video ID from first live stream. Store video ID in state, and then we're also going to interpolate value into iframe source. Cool. Git push origin master. Yeah, I need to talk to myself when I do Git stuff. I don't know about everyone in the chat, but if I don't talk it out, I feel like all I do is break it. Cool. Oh, cool. There's a vulnerability in one of my packages. We'll take care of that later. But for anybody in the chat, this is the repo that we're working on. So we can actually update this now that we have YouTube support. So let me drop this in the chat if anybody wants to look at the code. Cool. All right. So yeah, maybe that's what we should do, is we should update that README before we forget. So this is no longer coming soon. It's here. Yeah, so it's built with React and Rollup. Automatically embed. So this is the TLDR of what we're doing here for anybody that hasn't been on the previous streams. Yeah, Aaron, I'm glad to hear that. Especially now that I work remote, I do that for sure. And when the dog is in here, I talk to him too. But he never knows the answer to my technical questions, ever. He's a taker. He just takes my love and he doesn't respond. All right, so yeah, TLDR here. And I thought I got rid of this. Oh, you know what that is? How do I turn Git Lens off for right now? So Git Lens is it's a cool tool to use. It's definitely helpful, but when I'm live streaming like this, it adds all these tooltips that I feel are not super useful for you guys in the stream. Yeah, James, I know. They don't judge. They love you. That's why they're the best. So we automatically embed your live stream in your React app whenever you go live. This package currently works with the following platforms. Cool. This we're going to have to do later. This I think we can keep. I wonder if there's some sort of convention here. And you know what? Before we do that, let's actually go back before we do this. Because once we get into the README stuff, I think we're at the point where we're, hey, what's up, Sarah? Yo, thanks for joining the stream. Today's hopefully gonna be me hitting that affiliate status here on Twitch. So I know I made a mistake. I went on Mixer for a little while. Pardon me, but now I'm on Twitch. So all right. So before we do this README stuff, there's a couple things we need to do. So one, I have I set up an NPM account for myself, which is now part of GitHub, in case you couldn't see this gigantic banner. Microsoft owns everything. And then we're gonna need to actually go through this section here of contributing packages to the registry, because we're pretty much ready, I think, for people to start using this, at least as a V1, and then we can make it more robust, add features later. And I have a little list of features I was hoping to add, just based on conversations I've been having with different people. So YouTube support, we did it. So basically, the only thing I have idea I had going forward, and this is not going to be part of the V1. I just want to get this out so people can start using it. I'm part of a Discord channel, the Party Corgi Network. Some of the fine folks in the chat are as well. We're an inclusive community of streamers, content creators, developers, and just people that love to, hang out and chat and support one another. So we have a website, which I can never remember the URL for. I think it's partycorgi.com. Party Corgi. Let's see. Where is it? I think it's like partycorgi.com. Yeah, cool. This is us. It's a bunch of this is a bunch of weirdos on Discord. So this is the crew. Right now, Ryan Warner and Chris Piscardi and some of the other folks in the Discord have been working on this site. And one of the things that we would like to do is add these embeds, which is part of the reason I'm building this package. But because there's so many of us who might be streaming at any given time, I have a thought that maybe in the future we're going to need to be able to provide a list of people. We say we have, I think at this point, say we have like 20 streamers, right? And we have 3 of them active at the time that you load this page. Which stream do we show? How do we do that? What's the API here for this component? Does it add a list of streamers? And you say, hey, this is going to be an array of streamers like Ryan, Chris, Aaron, whatever. Is that what we do? Not sure. So this is something I'm looking to add in the future. But right now, before we go through and try to start publishing, I think what we need to do here is go back to what I was talking about earlier. And we have these fetch methods, but we really don't want to be doing these fetches unless we have certain data. So in the Twitch case, we need a client ID and a username, and we need all 3 of these props. So if we don't have all 3 of them, then we cannot run this fetch request. It just will not work. And that's the same case here. Like if we don't have platform equals mixer and the mixer channel ID, not going to work. YouTube, same thing. So I think what we need to do is we actually need to conditionally do this here. And I don't know if it's best to do it in the method itself or outside of it. I think it's more of a stylistic thing, but I would prefer to do it here so that the method stays very clean. Because at some point, I think we're going to move these fetch methods outside of this file into a utility, and that utility will be then imported and those methods will be called. So, okay. So here we need to do platform. Well, we already know that the platform equals Twitch because we're inside this case. So really we need to know, do we have both of these values, the Twitch client ID and username? These are props that come down from here. Let me, M-O-P, yeah, okay. I like to alphabetize my props. Twitch client ID. Okay, all right, so you can see that the only thing that's required here is the platform, because we need to know what platform you're streaming on to embed. But these other, like this offline component, this is completely optional, because here what we're doing is we're passing an offline component that just renders a little paragraph tag. And that's an option that Ryan Warner requested. He was saying, hey, you know, like if I'm not streaming, but I have this react-livestream component in my page, it'd be cool for me to be able to render something else out. Like maybe you want to render a link to your Twitch stream or Twitch channel, even though you're not live. Like that's totally reasonable. So that one's okay if people don't pass it. It's not going to affect the performance or functionality of this package. However, these will. So we need to make sure that they have value because they all come in as optional props, and because they're optional, we can default their values, and what we're going to default it is to null, because then it's easier to check against these things. It's like, does it have value at all? And if not, then we can't use it. Cool. So let's go back up here. So again, we can minimize this now because we know these 3 methods work. These styles work. Our states work. Like we're doing pretty good here. So for Twitch, we need to say this, if this, and Twitch username then we do that. So it's saying, I can take this away since we're working on this right now. If you pass in a platform prop of Twitch, but you have not passed in these other things, we're not going to execute this. We're just not going to, because it's not good practice, because it won't work. So the only thing that we can do here, I think we just log out an error and say Twitch support what is this? I want to get rid of this. Yeah, Chris, definitely do check those out. At the time, I was using what we call OBS Studio, which is open source. However, I recently switched over to the Streamlabs OBS Mac Beta, which I like a lot better for a variety of reasons. And I can hook you up with the link for that. You might as well just start straight away with that one instead. Okay. So Twitch support requires a Twitch client ID and Twitch username prop. All right, cool. So now if for some reason they are trying to say, do this, right? They're trying to say, hey, we have Twitch. I'll just show you that it works. All right, everyone, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. So Twitch username, this, I believe CM is streaming. What a guy. I've been testing a lot of this functionality against CM stream because he streams for hours at a time, and it just makes it really nice. I dig his style, man. He's got some crazy sweatshirts. I could definitely use some of those. All right, so we can see it works, right? It's responsive. That's great. And the reason it's working is because we're passing in all three of these required values. But to test out what we just did, let's get rid of the Twitch username. Nothing's rendering. And there you go, error. We're logging out an error for developers to know that, hey, Twitch support requires a Twitch ID and live stream username. Right? And those are actually props, so maybe we should be more clear. It requires a Twitch ID and username prop. And maybe it's worth doing something like this, like react-livestream. It's almost like sort of like a pseudo namespace, just so that it's like more apparent where this error is coming from. Okay, cool. So I think that's good. So we can just hide these because now we're going to test it with Mixer. See if Mixer works. Prop Mixer channel ID is invalid. It must be a function. Well, why would that be? So Mixer channel ID should be a number unless for some reason that's the wrong prop type. So let's check the prop types package. Robert, I did. YouTube totally works now. Here, let me show you. YouTube works. This is live. This is not hard-coded anymore. We were doing nothing wrong. All we did is we did not wait long enough for the API key to populate on Google's end, I think. I think that's all it was. Yeah, LOL is right. Because last night I fired up the app and I was like, oh man, am I not going to be able to add YouTube to this? I really want to. I opened up the app and just checked it was logging the data right. Okay, so I'm not sure why I'm getting this error. Maybe I'll just look at this a little later. I'm getting a warning about the prop type. I don't think that's right. And then I have some actual, YouTube is using some attributes in line here. These are HTML attributes. They actually need to be like frame border because we're in JSX land. Yeah, it's science. I think that's what they call it. Allow full screen. So I think that should get rid of, yeah, so now we just have this one error, whatever. Okay, so let's switch over to trying Mixer stuff, and we'll add some more of that checking that we're doing. So let's go over to Mixer, see who's live. Ewok is live, yeah. Let's do it. I'm not really an esports guy at all. But Ewok is one of the only folks that I know because of the big news about when she switched over to Mixer from Twitch. So I think she's like 15 or 16 and makes like a ton of money. Like, go get it. Good for her. So I want XHR requests. And I'm looking for her channel ID. Yeah, here we go. And it's not readily apparent here. Like, her username is in the URL, but what we need for this is actually the ID. So what we can do here, let's check out her user ID. So the embed's there. Look, Ewok. Cool. Right? Responsive. That's dope. All right, so now let's do sort of what we were doing before, and we're gonna handle this a little bit better than we were. So what if this Mixer channel ID didn't come in? What do we do? We're gonna have to do something very similar to this. And actually, like this is a little messy to be inside of a case, so I might actually abstract this to its own function, but we can do that in a second. Essentially here, we need to just guarantee that we have a Mixer ID. It is Mixer channel ID. And we only want to make this call if that is present, because otherwise we're going to get no data back. And just like above, I think what we should do is, just to be safe, let's log out an error so developers know. Mixer support requires a... Cool. So that should help. I didn't say that. That's right. Okay, cool. So here we're passing in the platform as Mixer, but we did not pass in this channel ID, so we get an error. That should help. I think that's good. Now we need to do the same thing for the YouTube ID. Or for the YouTube channel ID and API key. YouTube channel ID and YouTube API key. Sorry about that. I keep knocking my mouse into my hot corner. I should probably turn that off while streaming. And then we're going to do the same else block where we also log out an error and we say YouTube support requires a API and channel ID key or channel ID prop. So change this over to YouTube. It works because we're providing all of those props. But what if I were to take out this? You can see nothing. The only thing that's rendering here is the offline component, or if you're not passing that, what we would see is nothing. Nothing is rendering. But we're still getting this error, should help people. Cool. So let's undo that. Let's undo that. Great. So now we have a switch case. And some of this stuff, I think, like, it might be worth us cleaning this up a little bit. So I'm gonna add a commit before we do that. So git add readme. We'll just add the readme on its own. Git commit update readme. And if anybody is in the chat wondering what commands I'm using here, I have a couple aliases set up for my Git stuff. So if you're interested, I can share that with you. But it's basically all acronym based, sort of. It's like git add, git commit message, that type of thing. So I actually do it pretty quick, but if I'm going too fast, just let me know. Okay, now we have this, and basically here what we're doing is we're just preventing calls. Prevent API calls when all necessary props not present. So we're essentially guarding ourselves here. Git push. And I'm just pushing all this stuff up again to this repo as discussed. Git push origin master. Cool. All right. Can get rid of this because we don't have any more notes in here to hit. Okay, so now we have, this is our test app. So I'm going to full screen our actual package because I think what we want to do now is do a little bit of abstraction. So we have these fetch methods that do the fetch. I sort of want to, my initial thought is maybe I make like an API file. And then I can do export function fetch. Fetch mixer data. We can also do fetch Twitch data. And then we'll do fetch YouTube data. And then now we're going to want to, before we go any further, let's import all of those. So because none of them are default exports, we have to do this curly bracket destructuring syntax. So we're going to do .api. And all right, it's these three. Copy those, paste them, put some commas. Cool. And then I think what we want to do here is we're probably going to want to abstract some of this in terms of like, so, okay, let's look at one. So this one only only sets is live. Yeah, I think what we want to do is in our switch, and this is going to get refactored too, but let's start here. I'm actually going to move this so that it's alphabetical. Cool. All right, so I want to actually return this value. Const so as you might have noticed, what I tend to do is I tend to name things very semantically, and I'll make them as long as possible. Because like really, this is all for developer experience. If my names are super long for my variables, but they're more clear to help another developer who comes in after me figure out what's going on, I think that's better. And then the reason I say that is just because once everything goes through compilation and gets deployed, usually it gets uglified and minified. Yeah, if it's hard to write, it should be hard to read. Totally. Yeah. All right, so we're going to just start doing like const e equals question mark. You know, just make it really hard for everybody. All right, so here, again, this is just how I like to work. I like to do everything incrementally. So we'll do is streaming on Mixer. And here what we're doing, initially, we have this state to false. And here we could, essentially we want to return true if we have data and it meets these things. So we can comment this out and say, hey, return true, right? And then if we get an error, we're not live streaming because something went wrong with the API request, so we'll return false. Actually, we don't need, I mean, we can return false. Let's do it. And then basically my thought is that here we'll do set is live as whatever this value is. But first I just want to see what happened. So we need to go here, we need to say mixer, and we need to uncomment this. Okay. Yes. So what I forgot to do here is I'm running a fetch and I'm returning, but I actually need to return this too, because I need to return the value of true or false based on if it succeeds or fails. And then that value is in a callback. I need to return that and then return the value of the callback of this call, if that makes sense. Cool. So is streaming on Mixer, undefined. Yeah, it is. Some of it is Greek to me too, so don't feel bad. All right, so this is not working. No, maybe this is premature. Maybe we just worry about getting it out. You know what? This was working. Let's get out of V1. The code can be cleaned up. So allow full screen. Let's just double check our props here. Yep, allow full screen. Is streaming on Mixer. Yeah, we need to get rid of that. You know. Cool. One thing I would like to do is maybe these need to get abstracted. So I'm going to get rid of this API file right now. So I have methods that are called fetch, which is because they use the fetch API. I also have these, which are like, this switch case is too messy for me. Hey, what's up, Angel? Welcome aboard. Okay. So the classic adage is that one of the hardest things in computers and development in general is naming things. So just watch me be an example of that, because I am not very good at it. Handle mixer stream. Essentially what I want to do is I just want to move this here and then just say, hey, if it's mixer, just call that function instead. And then abstract these all like that. Function, handle, Twitch, stream. In theory, this will work. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a very appropriate one. Another thing that I one time was playing around with serverless before I started my new job. This was probably before the new year. And I built a little app, and I built a demo in Code Sandbox that had a serverless backend, and everything worked in it except I couldn't figure out the cache invalidation. And I mentioned that to a DevOps person, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's because that's one of the hardest things to do." Why? Why is it so hard? And YouTube stream. And so these names are probably not perfect, because usually a handle, like when I read code, if I see something that says handle, I'm usually thinking an event listener, but here I don't have a better naming choice or convention that I want to follow. So if anybody has any suggestions, I'm open to it. Okay, and so this is why I wanted to do that. I don't know about y'all, but to me, this is much easier to read. It's like, hey, we have a platform prop coming in. Is it a mix? It's a string. Is it Mixer? Sure, if it is, do whatever this is. If it's Twitch, do that. So on and so forth. Yeah, Robert, I like that. I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to say, instead of handle, we're going to do process. Or process or configure. Yeah, you know what? Process. I like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a pretty common convention I've just seen in general. All right, so our stuff's still working. Ewok's still rocking it out. All right. Is there anything else we should clean up? These conditional renders here, this could honestly be its own function, and it returns an iframe to us. Like, we could even potentially consolidate the iframe markup itself, but I don't necessarily feel like, well, allow full screen frame. They all have frame border 0, allow full screen a source. What if I took out this internationalization title from the Mixer one? Probably won't change anything. I know folks in chat who are accessibility experts will be mad. But actually, this is internationalization, so I don't think it has to do with accessibility. Unless it does. Maybe language support is a type of accessibility? Yeah, Chris, so like that's a good question. Like, is internationalization part of accessibility, since it's about making it accessible to people in languages other than English? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so there we go. Ooh. And it seems like Mixer is the only one that has that by default in their iframe embeds. Poor. Oh, is that an acronym for something? Okay, so I think what I want to do here, instead of having just this conditional logic, like I feel like we could just abstract it to another function. And this is the one thing that I think classes maybe got right, that perceivable, operable, understandable, robust. Okay, yeah. No, I read something recently about how like iconography can really communicate almost more functionality in certain cases than text, because like symbols are more universal than a language might be. And so we actually, in a UI I was working on recently at work, it's very cluttered, icons, language, whatever. We removed the icon, or we left the icon and removed the text. And like, I find it more apparent what the intention is. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, Chris, honestly, a lot of the stuff I picked up about accessibility was from your talk at Liberty.js 2 or 3 years ago. A lot of that stuck with me, and I often cite it when talking about that. Because I always get into that case like you were talking about. What if somebody doesn't care for moral reasons, or business reasons, it's like, what about you're you're gonna get sued reason? You know, Chris DeMar said it. He showed me a slide. I live in Pennsylvania. We get sued a lot for that. So let's do another function called embed iframe. And all this is going to do is it's just going to be essentially what we have below with the iframes, but I'm going to do it in a nicer way. Yeah. So maybe another ugly switch case. I mean, we could do an if. You know. Okay. Comments, strings, quick suggestions. Let me bring this back because I seem to be doing not so great without it. Switch. There we go. I can't write that stuff by myself. Mixer. So we'll do one case for each. And this is, I mean, we could do this with an if statement. If you're not familiar with switch case syntax, check it out on MDM, the Mozilla developer docs. Works pretty similar. Okay, cool. So now we're saying, hey, depending on which prop, we're going to do some stuff. If there's a, we're not going to have a default here because we don't want anything to be returned. So really, all it is a couple return statements that return the appropriate iframe. So mixer returns this one. Then we don't need a break because we're actually doing a return, so that'll break us outside of the switch case already. So we don't need a break would be sort of redundant because a return already takes us outside. All right, and then we have Twitch. So we'll return platform Twitch, iframe. Again, this break is redundant. And then here we'll do a return where we say, hey, let's return this last iframe for YouTube. So now we can actually get rid of this too. Okay, let's format this a little bit. Format on save. Yeah, okay. It's a handy little trick. If you use Prettier, you can select everything and hit Apple K and then quickly Apple F, which is essentially this format selection. I'm going to do with and say Prettier. And for some reason it's not doing it. Okay. So, am I missing something here in terms of formatting? Yes, I'm getting a linter error. Oh, yeah, because of these. So these we don't need. All we need to do here is embed iframe. Oh, and this is actually, we only want to do this. Yeah, exactly. So this is much more cleaned up now. We have, are we live? That state value gets set in the callback to our API request. So if we make an API request and we determine that this user is live, then what we're going to say is set the component state to true. If that's true, what we're going to do is render a div and the iframe inside of it from which is going to be a return value from the function we just created. And what we've done with the styles is this is a relative container with an absolutely positioned iframe inside of it. And there's a dynamic padding bottom to maintain the aspect ratio as we scale. And that's how we achieve the responsiveness. And then if you're not live, we're going to say do you have an offline component prop that you've passed in? If you haven't, we're gonna render nothing, but if you have, we'll render that component instead of nothing. So this should still work. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, my hotkeys are going crazy. Okay. Responsive. Let's just double check all the other ones. So we know Mixer works. Let's check YouTube. YouTube works. Okay. And then lastly, Twitch. Oh. There it is. Cool. I was wondering if Chris Griffin was having a little more fun on his stream. He likes to get down. Looks like he's doing some Elixir stuff. That's cool. All right, so now we've made a couple more changes, and basically this was organizational so that our code is easier to read. I think. Git add all. We'll just say reorganize logic abstract to functions. Hey, what's up, Horatio? Thanks for joining. Not sure if you saw, I dropped a screenshot in the Discord for you. I figured out how to magnify the chat text inside of the stream chat for Streamlabs OBS. So take a look at that screenshot. It's in the settings. Yeah, dude, it's making it so much easier. I can actually see all of you beautiful people over here chiming in on my chat. It's gorgeous. Okay. So, I mean, there's more stuff we could do here, but I feel like we've pretty much tackled the core functionality of what we want to do. And there's always more functionality, always more code cleanup, things we can do to make this better. But for right now, I would consider this relatively tight and clean. So why don't we go over to the documentation for NPM? And maybe we should start just going through this piece by piece. So what I want to do is I'm hoping to deploy this. I don't know if I can do it right now, excuse me, but let's start going through this, see what it looks like, and see if maybe this is achievable on this stream. If not, maybe we start now, and then what I'll do is I'll publish it offline. So Horatio, it's not live yet, but we have it working for 3 services. So this is Twitch, responsive iframe embed. Then we can also do that for, let's see. We can also do that for Mixer. Cool. So this is a live Mixer stream embed, also responsive. And then lastly, we just added today YouTube support. And so this is a live stream on YouTube. It's not auto playing though, which is, I mean, some people prefer that. Oh, thanks, Flying Dab. I appreciate that. Yeah. No, I'm super pumped about this. This is something I wanted to do as a Gatsby theme originally, or a Gatsby plugin. But the more I thought about it and talked to people, I was like, this is just a React component that you can drop into any app, whether it be a Gatsby project or otherwise. So one thing I would like to see, maybe we can get, it looks like the other streams are auto playing. So here the YouTube one says allow accelerometer, autoplay, picture in picture. I think I need to do this. Yeah, Horatio, originally what I was thinking is that it would be more like a banner, but then I was like, why not just embed the stream right away? However, Ryan Warner's suggestion for an API was to add an additional, an additional prop. called offline component that will allow you to render whatever you want if you're not online. So say we did YouTube and we didn't pass in this value, which is required for our request. So we're not going to get any data back. So we're not going to be rendering an iframe. Logic we just added earlier, we will be logging out an error for developer experience. But this is our offline component here. If I were to just like say, add a P tag and say, check out my stream here. You could put like an avatar image, whatever. And anytime you're not live, that's what it will render. So it's a optional prop for like, hey, maybe you want to have your Twitch or Mixer channel up here all the time as a link to get people to go to it, subscribe to it, give you a follow. Thanks, dude. Yeah, and then you can have a call out there, or you could just have it render nothing. Like if I went back in here and I did not pass this prop, nothing renders on the page, and there in fact is nothing in the app div. So nothing. Cool. All right. So before we move on to publishing, maybe publishing is something we should do at a later date. Maybe the one thing we should do is Twitch and Mixer autoplay. I feel like that's sort of what you want when people come to the site if you're streaming, like, because they're muted by default, it seems. So to me, like, I don't like autoplay when I go to a news site and have to watch ads forever. But in this case, it might be okay because if the music or audio is muted, it's less intrusive in my mind. And the idea is like, oh, people will see that you're actively streaming. Maybe they'll choose to unmute you and watch you on your current page. Or maybe they'll decide to hop over into the chat and participate. So let's see. YouTube, iframe, embeds. Oh, didn't spell that right. Player parameters. Okay, I'm turning off this. I'm skipping this track. Sorry, y'all. I'm on a Monster Cat, just like royalty-free Spotify playlist. If I had my druthers here, we'd be listening to a lot of different music than this. Like chill, lo-fi hip-hop beats, that's more my speed, but autoplay. This parameter specifies whether the initial video will automatically start to play when the player loads. Supported values are 0, 1. The default is 0. Okay. So maybe what we need to do. Oh, Horatio. Yes, maybe that's because I definitely have a bunch of that going on. Let's open a private tab. Still not auto playing, so maybe it's not that. So we need to go to our. Yeah, something. No. I appreciate that suggestion though, because I definitely wouldn't have thought of that. I've been burned so many times by that. Doesn't look like it's that. I wonder. See, this is like these attributes are not JSX. So I don't think those are affecting it, but maybe they're overriding it. Nope. Let's see. Loop, modest branding, origin playlist, plays in line. This value causes inline playback. Do that. add autoplay 1 to the embeds code right after the video ID. Aha. So they're not using the attributes. It's actually in the string here. Let's see. So that did change something, that's for sure. All right, so it seems, let's see what this looks like in Chrome. Allow full screen frame border class autoplay equals 1. Okay. Ah, I thought that was it. Thought it was loading. No. So you can play it, but it's not automatically playing. So this is our Chrome. It's not working there either. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, so Chris, it's called Streamlabs. Here, I'll give me a second. I'll DM you the link right now. Chris, I just DM'd you the link, so check that out. Cool. Okay. Dope. Yeah, it's definitely way more stable. It has built-in functionality in terms of like how you see me having like sort of the chat that's scrolling above my head up here. That's done with Streamlabs, as is like when I get follows and stuff like that, alerts come up, all done with Streamlabs. With OBS, you have to add a video source that's from a browser URL, whereas here inside of OBS, inside of Streamlabs OBS, I should say, you can just do them right in here, and you can see the chat window. You can hook up your Twitter to tweet out right when you start streaming and stuff, so it's just much easier. So it has to come right after. Yeah, it's pretty rad. It's definitely cool software. Autoplay equals 1. Yep. Okay, so that is apparently not how you do it. hopefully y'all are enjoying the stream, and the fact that hopefully this text all around here is much more visible now that I'm scaling my monitor. Yeah, see, it looks like it is just this autoplay 1, which we are doing. Autoplay equals 1. Autoplay equals 1. All right, let's go back to Chrome. This is also not auto-playing, so clearly something is not working. It has autoplay here in the URL as a query param, which is apparently what we're supposed to be doing, but this parameter causes the player to begin video playing at a given number of seconds. Yeah, Horatio, if I can get, I definitely want it to mute. If I can autoplay it, it needs to autoplay muted. That seems to be how the mixer and the Twitch embeds work by default. Is that what it is? And mute equals 1? Let's see. This doesn't work, so I'm just going to try mute equals 1, and then maybe we can prove out that that works. So it seems like autoplay. Oh, look, there we go. Is that what it was, Horatio? You need both of them for some reason? That's dope. Cool. Alright, I like that. Let's roll with that. How's the music levels for all y'all? Is it too loud, too faint? I have it in my headphones, and like I have it on I control it with my output, and in the audio device is set up on my Mac, so it's a bit louder. Hopefully y'all can hear it. It's nice to have a little bed going on. Okay, so we don't need that. We don't need that. Cool. It's good? Okay, Angel, you vibing over there? You digging it? Alright, so if we don't have a platform, yeah, that's James, that's my exact idea. It's like, you know, when I'm not talking, which is a pretty rare occurrence, as everybody in the stream knows, I'm usually talking my mouth off. Yeah, it's like, it's just nice to have some atmospheric music just fill the space. It's also like, this is how I work. Like, I love listening to music. I usually, as all the people who have worked with me before can attest to, I even dance at my desk in the office. It's just what I do. So this use effect. Yeah, okay, so we are, if, say we didn't pass in a platform, I think we've already handled this. Yeah, platform prop is required. Oh yeah, James. One time I was probably a couple months into my time at Guru, and we were all on one floor at the time, and my desk was right next to a glass wall conference room, and I was dancing to some Tea Leaf Green for anybody who's into the sort of like San Francisco jam type stuff, which I'm a hip hop head, but I have a little bit of that in my veins. And yeah, like I was dancing at my desk just coding while people were in that conference room, and I got a DM from someone in the room who I accidentally made eye contact with. Horatio, let's see. Looks like it was, I don't even know if we need this. Like, what happens if we remove that? Yeah. Looks like this stuff. Like, I can leave it, but don't know if we need it. So, if they don't pass the platform... Hold on one second. Give me a second. My dog is trying to come in here. Sorry, my little Bubba needed to come in. Yo, Bubba. I don't know if y'all can see him. Hey, Bubba. Let's say hi. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, he's shy now. You shy? You're shy? That's Banjo. It's my little hound doggy. He's like, Papa, stop doing work. Come on. Let's play. Alright, so platform prop is required for... let's see. Okay, where did I put that? Platform prop is required for... Why not, right? Let's put an emoji in there. You're gonna rock with this package. You need to give us our props, you know? Cool. And then we uncomment it, we're back to where we want to be. Cool. Update error log for when platform prop is not present. Hold on a second, I gotta show you something. This is what he does. I don't know what he's looking at because the only thing behind us is a derelict building, so. Angel, you have no idea. He's a little freak. But in the best way. He's such a good dog. Okay, we got that. We got that. What else do we need to do? I think we're done. Yeah, Horatio, I think he's making sure I'm safe as long as I have food for him, but if I don't have food for him, I feel like that's going out the window. Alright, this is some reasonably clean code, I think. Okay. Let's go to these docs now. I'm going to close this, actually, so we're not, like, streaming in the background this whole time. Alright, so this is the NPM docs, and we're going to publish this package on NPM. And so, looks like contributing package to the registry. We want to create a package JSON, which we have. List all of the packages your project depends on. Let's put this over here. Put this over here. So it requires a name and a version field. Ah, Horatio. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. Because I am keeping a add autoplay as an option. I like that. I like that. Yeah, that's great. Appreciate that. From Horatio. So that when I actually implement that, I know who to give my shout out to. Thanks, dude. And that, like, anybody else in the chat, you have ideas like that? Throw them at me. Okay, so let's open our package.json. So this is no longer a keyword, so it's React, JavaScript, Twitch, Mixer, YouTube. I'm gonna need to update this plugin. Like, I want to update this repo name actually, because it's no longer called that. Ooh, I'm not signed into GitHub. Hold on, I'm doing this off screen. I know y'all want into my GitHub account, but not today. I mean, there's really nothing in there, so. Hey y'all, sorry about that. I'm back on. Sorry about that. I was trying to quit an app and I accidentally Apple queued or command queued my Streamlabs, so that's not a pro move. Sorry. Boy, that was embarrassing. All right. Is there, can I rename this? So I'm back. Okay. So let's, which old graphic are you talking about? Yeah. Oh, stream. At this time it was my fault for sure. Like 100%. So I think what I need to do is I actually need to update the origin here. Get remote. Oh yeah, there's a way to, okay, so we're gonna need to do a little get foo. Get update remote URL. I'm gonna take the blame. It's definitely me. Usually it's not. So get remote v, get remote. We want to switch remote URL, switch remote URL. No, we just want to reset it. And so right now it's GitHub. So, and we're using SSH, not HTTPS. Do I need to remove it or rename it, Horatio? Well, if I add the origin, well, okay. Add remote. Oh, so you just remove it altogether. You do get remote, remove origin, get remote v, get remote add origin. Horatio, thumbs up. Thank you, sir. Okay. So I guess we could also CD out of here. And I think we can rename this. I'm also going to look up this bash. It's a move. I know that. Bash rename directory. Yeah, Angel, you can, there is a command too that will allow you to update the URL for a pre-established origin or upstream. So I had a remote called origin and I removed it and then set a new one, but there is a way. Yeah, Frackberg, that's what I think it is. I think it's basically move Twitch plugin, and then we're gonna move it to React livestream. CD React livestream. Get status, get remote, V. Looks like we're in business. All right, so now what we want to do is we actually want to go in here. This is called React livestream now. And this is definitely V1. Embed your Twitch stream. Nope. Where's my README? I'm going to copy this right out of my README. It's a good thing that I wasn't trying to shoot for this. I didn't need. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. So basically I need to close that and then open it again. Cool. And we'll do package. We'll do README. Yeah, Robert, I think I'm still going to hit affiliate today. And a big shout out to you for being such a awesome resource and just like a great supporter. Like Robert Tables, i.e. David, is a beast. He's a code beast. You are an experienced cheerleader. You look good in that uniform too, I must say. That Live Coders uniform is pretty fire. Twitch plugin, name, version, description. Oh yeah, we're gonna copy this out of the README because who wants to type? The main package is the index in the dist folder because that's where rollup is building things. Does anybody in the chat have preferences in terms of license? This is the first time I've done anything like this in terms of licensing, so. And I think anybody out there, I'm pretty sure my dependencies and dev dependencies are good. MIT. I mean, I would have loved to go to MIT and have that on my resume, so let's do it. Yeah, James, me too. And in terms of this stuff, I'm pretty sure that we need a motion, but it might only be a dev dependency. Because essentially, when this gets deployed, the dist/index file here is the one that people are going to be importing. This is the compiled, transpiled code. So I'm pretty sure that these are not even dependencies. I think they're just dev dependencies, but let's double check that. So we have a name and version, an author field, that's probably a good idea. Cool. If you expect to create a if you expect to create many package JSONs, you can customize the questions. No, we don't need to do that. Scripts, repository, keywords, author, bugs, homepage. Oh, we already have an author, but let's do that. Default values extracted. Okay, here we go. So create a package JSON, which we did. Provide responses for the required fields, so name, version, main, the name of the file that will be loaded in your module. The default name is index.js. Create the file that will be loaded when your module is required by another application. Once your package JSON file is created, Robert, what do you mean by versioning the package JSON? You mean like this? In terms of keeping up to date. Create the file that will be loaded, the default name. In the file, you want to export the function, which is what we're doing in our index. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're down here, we're exporting the default. So that should be fine. Publish your package to NPM. NPM install. Test your module. So this is a good question in terms of, are we talking about an unscoped or a scoped public package? 1x, yeah, so Robert, I put 1 because I think it's ready to use. There's like some additional things we can do, probably some test coverage we can add, some additional functionality, but I think this is small enough and robust enough for people to use. Unscoped, so it's just npm publish. See your package published, do that. Okay, yeah, well, I'm in the chat as well. I just happen to also be on screen. I also don't know how it works. You can publish a scope package that is public, but you need to set a parameter on the npm publish script. My question, Horatio and Robert, is the difference between these two. I know there's some documentation here. Not scope it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Horatio, scoping it would be like Ryan Harris / react-livestream versus just react-livestream. Is that sort of how it works? Because I know I've worked with some. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've worked with some packages for setting up our ESLint and TypeScript linting at Fauna. And we've used some packages that were also like this /xxxx, whatever. Yeah, Angel, hey, you have one on NPM way before I do, so that's dope. That's super cool. Unscoped packages exist in the global registry and can be referenced in a package JSON file with the package name alone, whereas scoped ones belong to a user or org. Like, so this, is there any difference, Horatio? What is is there any functional difference between these two things, or is it pretty much the same? Because I know our friend Jason Langsdorff is the same. Okay. So I know I was using one of Jason's packages, which is what I use for my OG images, my Open Graph images for my blog posts. And I'm pretty sure Jason does the same. I don't even know what I use. Let's see. Ryan Harris. Yeah, see, get share image. So he has it namespaced, but most stuff is not. Let's just do it unscoped. I mean, I don't really think it matters. Okay, I got you. So it's like, hey, also some of those packages, it seems like you can install one package and then it has multiple packages inside of it. Okay, both are technically the same. All right, so let's get rid of that. Create publishing scope packages. That's not what we want to do. Creating and publishing unscoped publish packages. Create your package. Did it. So we don't have any keys in here because they all get passed from the outside. Testing your package. To reduce the chances of publishing, we recommend testing your package before publishing it. Run npm install with the full path to your package directory. I'm assuming this is sort of like a yarn link. Publishing unscoped public packages. Yeah, just npm publish to see your public package, public, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it looks like that's it. So before we publish, I think we need to do one thing, which is update the README a little bit more. Let's pull this up. So basically, allows you to import and use a React component called react-livestream. Will embed an iframe into your site whenever your channel or account is live. Okay. And it currently works with 3 different services. So let's do a JavaScript code block here. And currently it works with 3 live streaming services. It works with the 3 streaming services mentioned above. Below are examples of how to use this component for each streaming platform. Okay, so I'm basically going to do 3 code blocks. Actually, I'm going to do 1 for each service. The screen's flickering. It shouldn't be. That's strange. Not sure if it's because this is running in a new tab. Is my screen flickering or your screen? It might be because one of the things you have to do is you have to allow, especially in Catalina, you have to enable the permissions. You might have to enable permissions for the display capture. So if you go into the security preferences on your Mac, there's like all the accessibility, screen recording, audio recording. You just need to enable it for Streamlabs. So this would be... Are you still running Mojave? I mean, it might be the same case. Just Catalina's a bit more aggressive with how it does that stuff. So Mixer example. So Mixer just needs a Mixer. And I'm going to actually use my Mixer ID here. I don't want... Doesn't particularly matter, but... Yeah, that's my channel ID. And then if we do... So this would be Twitch. And so Twitch requires a couple other things. So they require an API key and a username. Ryan C. Jaros. That would be a pretty cool name. I sort of like that. Maybe I should change it. Keeping it real. Okay, cool. Oh, thanks for hanging out, Horatio. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining in on the fun, and I'll definitely drop this in the chat. If I can publish it on this stream, actually, this is going to knock off 2 of my 2020 goals. Twitch affiliate, publish an NPM package. And I'm feeling pretty good, I'm not going to lie. So apparently the easiest... Ah, the worst dab. Yeah, what's up? Is that you, Kurt? Appreciate it. Oh yeah, Ben. I'm pumped that Fauna's gonna be working with the Live Coders team because apparently we're getting 2 free Live Coders shirts, and I heard one of them might be coming my way, which is definitely exciting. I don't know if that's still secret, but yeah, man, I mean, like, it's dope. You guys do cool stuff, and there's a lot of really talented folks on your team. So I'm just excited that we're even involved. Again, I'm gonna use my YouTube channel ID just because. Not because I'm vain, just because I don't want other people spamming anybody. Let's do that. Okay. Instruction. Yeah, I was talking to the marketing team about it, and they were super excited, very happy. And I might actually be working on some video content to use on as an interstitial between some of the talks on your all remote conference. So keep an eye out for that. Your site whenever you, into your site whenever your channel or account is live. The component takes these props. I'm just trying to be as clear here as possible. Like, I'm willing to go with overkill in terms of documentation. That's my style. So we have a couple props that we need to talk about. So first of all is platform. I'm gonna make this code. Platform, and this is Mixer. It's either a Mixer, Twitch, or YouTube. And this is required. Oh, thanks. That's you. Is that you, Kurt? I think it is. This is required. Let's require that. And I think it's actually required here. Let's just double check our prop types. Platform is the only required one. Which is, it's not the only required one, but it's like if you don't pass this in, nothing's gonna work. And if you're gonna pass in Mixer but not the authentication information, that's not gonna work. So we already handled logging that out earlier, so I think we're okay here. And then we have, let's see, platform. We have offline component, and this is an optional prop. A React element, or I should say a JSX element that renders in place of the iframe when the user is not live. And this is optional. The component takes these props. So these are general props. In addition, you need to pass in the following information based on your streaming platform. So the reason I'm separating this is because I want it to be pretty clear that these are general and these are platform specific. So we have that. Twitch client ID, Twitch username. This is going to be Mixer channel ID. And then we're going to do these YouTube ones. Obtain this from the Google Developers Console. This can be found in the URL to your YouTube channel. For example, my channel URL is oh, hold on one second. The dog needs to get out of here. Come on, go on, Bubba. Go ahead. Sorry, y'all. Dog life. I'm just trying to make this as easy for people to understand as possible. I have definitely I've used tools and APIs before, but the documentation is just terrible, and it's a nightmare. So here's a little tip. Markdown, preview. Interesting. Language. Markdown. Markdown. Preview. So, what we have going on here is that we can actually open a Markdown preview inside of VS Code. So it'll give you an idea of what it looks like as you're editing. So this is our README right now. Looking pretty good. So Mixer ID, let's look at that. Because I'm pretty sure that was something we had to get from the network request. Angel, I believe it is actually built into VS Code as long as you go and set the file type to, where is it? Usually there's a little thing down here that tells you the file. Oh, there it is. So this tells you the file association in terms of like what type of file you're working with. And you can actually change it to Markdown. And then if you do that, once you're in a Markdown file, if you hit Command-Shift-P to open this command menu, there's a Markdown open preview. And I believe that's built into VS Code. So, let's see. So to get this value, we actually need to say if this can be found in the network tab of your developer tools when navigating to your Mixer channel. Yeah, Angel, I believe it's only if it's a Markdown file. I think there are some extensions that will handle that for MDX files, but right now I think it's just Markdown. Okay, Twitch client ID. Configure this in your Twitch developer portal. And Twitch username is your yeah, Angel, I use it quite a bit because I'm a heavy documenter. So like when I start a new job or something like that, one of the things I do is I make sure that we have adequate documentation, especially when it comes to onboarding docs. Because if you're going through onboarding docs at a new job, one of the best things you can do is take notes on the gaps in terms of what type of docs you have, in terms of getting your environment set up, those types of things. It's a huge value add to the team, because especially if you're on a team that's going to be growing in the future, being able to identify those gaps and fill them in prior to people joining the team, that's the type of thing I talk about a lot in terms of non-technical developer skills that will get you further than just potentially even being just an awesome JavaScript developer. There's other parts to this job. All right, so automatically embed your live stream into your React app whenever you go live. This package currently works with these platforms. Instructions is spelled wrong. And actually, one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open text edit, and I'm going to paste this all because I know that I always have spelling issues. So what I do is I just paste stuff in here that I write in Markdown just to check for any sort of spelling errors, which it doesn't look like there are, so we're good. Yeah, like James, I have a writing background and I write a lot of articles, but it's just, I definitely have that thing where it's like if the first few and last few letters are right, I just sort of gloss over it. A React live stream allows you to import and use a React component called the React live stream, which will embed an iframe into your site whenever your channel or account is live. Let's just do this. Yeah, I mean, honestly, my background was in film. I went to film school. And part of the reason I got into front-end development is I had done a little playing around with this type of stuff when I was younger. OP. I'd done some HTML, that type of stuff, but in reality, it had been a while when I started getting back into development, and I think I was able to sort of craft this narrative around the fact that I have film skills and some animation skills that have to do with aesthetics, right? And that's a lot about what front-end development is usability, but also how things look and feel. So I was able to sort of sell people on the idea that those skills, in addition to my passion for learning and technology in general, I would be a good candidate. And I got somebody to take a bite, and honestly, the first step in to the industry was harder than the things I've done since. But yeah, it was definitely part of it. Okay, so. Yeah, Angel, I definitely empathize with you just because like I know how tough that can be, and it is the first one is really the hurdle, and like it's just trying to get through that first barrier. After that, I feel like it is much easier. You meet more people, you learn a lot more just in general, and also then you have that bullet point on your resume that for some reason makes people cross that mental barrier of developer versus not developer. It's very much arbitrary in my mind, but I totally understand how that goes. So React Live Stream allows you to import and use a React component called React Live Stream. React live streams allows you to use a React component called React Live Stream, which will embed an iframe into your embed a responsive iframe into your site whenever your channel is account is live. If you are not currently broadcasting, nothing will be rendered in the DOM unless you choose to pass in a JSX, pass in an optional JSX element as the offline component prop. In this case, that component will render when you're offline. Angel, I'm using I mean, this is because it's a React component. I'm assuming that the users are going to be developers. I'm just trying to provide some filler information. This component takes these general props. In addition, you need to pass in the following information based on your streaming platform. Currently, it works with the 3 streaming services mentioned above. Yeah, I'm just adding as much info as possible. Okay, cool. So what we updated was we updated the package JSON and the README. Got a little memoization article up here for anybody who's been reading my Hook series, because I'm already working on the next one. So, okay, npm publish for real. Okay, is this it? Is this what we're doing? Are we live? Are we gonna do this live, everybody? Let's see who's in the chat still. We got Ryan Watercodes. Got Angel, got James. Do the thing, let's do it. npm publish. Oh, that didn't work. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I figured there was some sort of authentication. I don't know why it's saying Twitch plugin though, because that is not what. Oh, it still does. What? Yeah, Angel, I do. I just need to authenticate, I think, the command line with the my account. So it's telling me to run npm add user. You need to auth, okay? Okay, I'm going to take this off here so you can't see it. So I tried doing it this way, and it said unable to authenticate, need basic. That's not really that great of a message. Okay. Add user just takes you back to the docs. Interesting. You need to authorize this machine. But when I tried to do that, it didn't like that. Aha. So I just saw a comment from Kat Marchan, who used to work at NPM, and she was saying that if you have two-factor authentication enabled on your account, to disable it because that might screw with this. Every time I try to log into NPM, it tells me my password is wrong, which is, God. It's like I'm logged in. So annoying. NPM, you're killing me. Sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to get into my NPM account. Off screen so you can't see all my secrets. Okay, that didn't work. Cool. NPM, come on. Cool. Every time I log into NPM, it just doesn't log in. That's perfect. Unbelievable. Yeah, Angel, how did you get around this? Like, I'm trying to... I can't even log into their site. They sent... I'm doing like, hey, I forgot my password, and they're sending me something, and it just... Every single time, I'm not getting in. Super frustrating. Yeah, I'm doing auth. I'm doing all the stuff you want. Yeah, I disabled it. No, Robert, I reset it. I think it's so it said that it has to do with the auth. All right, let's try it. Oh. Let's do it. Why is all this highlighted? What's this all about? What is that all about? What the fuck? Oh, it's because of the... It's this. I bet it's this. Okay, do I have to bump this to 1.01 already? Oh yeah, I remember that. There we go. All right, y'all. It's up. It's ready to go. Here's the link. Download it. Install it. Check it out. Try it out. Let me know how it works. thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's been about two and a half hours today. We finished the package. We added YouTube support. Everybody's gonna love this shit. I think it's gonna be the best thing today, maybe for the next like 15 minutes. It's probably the best thing that you can find out there. So once again, as I always do at the end of the stream, just want to shout myself out because why not? But in a more serious note, I've been writing this Hooks Revisited series. I recently published Use Context last couple days. Use Memo is coming next, probably in the next couple days, maybe first half of this week, depending on how things go. So feel free to check it out. And of course, I'm Ryan. I'm a coder at Fauna. I'm right at my own website. I organize React-Adelphia for all you Philly folks. And I stream on Twitch here. So make sure to come back. We're going to do some more fun stuff on the next stream. Not 100% sure what it's going to be yet, but it should be a good time. So you can catch me on Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern here on Twitch, and intermittently throughout the week whenever I decide it's time to drop some code. So thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. Peace.